Hi, and welcome to Have a Chat. I am your host today, Veronique Arsenault, joined, of course, by my wonderful co-host, Judy Loge.
Welcome, everybody, to another lovely Monday. The sun's peeking out here in Miramichi.
I know, and we'll take it because of the other stuff, but we'll talk about that after.
Yeah.
It's Monday again, and we are together, and I love our Mondays together. It's hard to believe we are now the middle of November, though.
Yeah, and maybe next week we'll talk about Christmas because my heart can't take it this week.
No, I'm not there. I'm not ready. But we will kick off, of course, with your quote today.
Sure. All right. It's, after 8 years in some Veronique, sometimes it's a challenge coming up with quotes that there's millions, but that we find really touching, but that we haven't used before.
Exactly.
Some jump at us and we say, oh, let's go with that. But if we've done it before, here it is again. You don't have to give birth to someone to have a family. We're all family, an extended family. And that is by none other than Sandra Bullock.
I love her.
You do?
I do. I love her. I love her movies, and I love her personality that we get to see when she's being interviewed. I find her just really down to earth, and
apparently she is one of those people.
Yeah.
And like the female to George Clooney, they say in person, people that have dealt with them, and I mean they're high scale. They're highly paid, visible entertainers.
Absolutely.
Are the nicest of the nicest people.
Isn't that wonderful?
That means a lot,
But it's true. She talks about, because I believe she adopted her children, and she talks about in that quote the fact that you don't have to have given birth to them to consider them family, or even friends who have become family.
That's right. And you have, if I'm not mistaken, a godchild that you've watched her and her twin grow since day one at their birth, and I suppose that's in a way like a child that's not yours, but that you feel is family.
Well, and I feel that way about my friends' kids, right? Because I most of them I've known since they were born, right? And I love them, and I worry about them. And when their mums or dads tell me about their adventures, I'm really proud of them. And, I love them. I, of course, don't have kids of my own, but I absolutely adore, my cousins who are younger and who I taught in high school. And, they probably didn't want to have me as a teacher at that point. But, they are family. But my friends' kids are equally family. And my friends that I'm really close with are like my family.
Yes.
I trust them, I love them, I worry about them, and I want good things for them.
Yeah, it's like my own children. I mean, my own sons. I feel some of their friends might not have the same family unity that we do, like that very tight bond, and we're an extremely close, open, well-knit family. But then their friends that have come up along the way, I feel, even though there's no relation in the wide world, even distantly, they're like my kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think a lot of times people are saying, what can we do to strengthen that family bond, even if it's to sit around and make time with your family. So the gathering is like we're always on the run. We've talked about this before. Grabbing, one comes in the door, grab a sandwich, go to a meeting. The kid's off to hockey, grab something, runs out the door. There's that core unity is missing that was so prevalent growing up that made our family what it was.
Yeah,
and that was mom setting the table and us all helping, and dad, coming in from work and us sitting around the table. Eventually there was four of us because Jennifer was born later in life, but the four of us at one point, and mom and dad sitting and just talking. It wasn't about the food. It was about the quality of the conversation and the coming together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think now, and I don't know what the answer is, but I think now we're overscheduled as a society, right? Like, you and I are overscheduled, and then, families with little children, like the kids are overscheduled. There's never kind of that break. And oftentimes we talk about not letting kids get bored, but sometimes I think it's good to let them get bored to figure out how to, keep themselves engaged and entertained and things like that. But,
I totally agree with you on
that.
that.
I'm not a kid expert, but I just think we as a society now are so overscheduled that it gets really hard to have those quality moments and to do things together that don't involve, a specific activity. Maybe.
Like outdoor fun. We used to do that as kids with our family. We'd all go tobogganing. Now it's, you guys go. I'm old and I'm too cold.
Well, I am that, but I'm getting cranky around the snow. But, the last couple of weekends have been really busy. You've had a tough season of loss, we'll call it, over the last number of weeks in your family. And again, over the weekend, you were celebrating a loved one's life in outside of Fredericton or Mukto. So, your cousin Eva passed. And
like my dad, I want to say to my father, hang in there, Dad. Here he has lost his sister, his niece, then his nephew, and then another niece in the span of 5.5 weeks, roughly.
Yeah.
And it just gets to the point where, how much sorrow can your heart take?
Yeah.
But yet, we're there, as we've talked about, family, supporting and being there for one another. And it's so ultra important to be there in those times of need. Like, we're there for the fun gatherings, but I think it's even more important to be there when there's times where they need comfort, that consolation, just, we're not into the embracing with the COVID, like hugging like we used to, but being there and talking to them. And so we did not think we were going to be able to go to the funeral for Eva, my first cousin, who was an angel, absolutely an angel, and very, very bright and sweet and kind. And so we thought, with the impending post-tropical forecast, we thought we're not even going to get there. So I called her sister Jocelyn and I said, please have someone stand in for me to read, because you might need a backup due to my not being able to get there. But she said it's going to happen, because Eva's going to make it happen. Aww. And Eva made it happen. Yeah. We drove over. It was unbelievable, with some mist on the road. Yeah. During the ceremony, the funeral service, I should be saying, it rained really, really hard inside. Like, we didn't even know it was raining. And then when we stepped out to go to the burial site, there wasn't a drop. Wow. And then it rained during the reception a bit, and then on the drive home, not a drop. Wow. So it was a day that we were able to share, remembering the life of one that we loved very, very dearly.
Yeah. And it's, being together, it makes that difference, and that's where the family needs that support, right? And, we often say, we joke that we only get together for, funerals and weddings, but... Yeah. At least we do that in a lot of cases, and it provides that opportunity to connect a little bit more when they need it most. So, but it's interesting, because I had actually a pretty quiet weekend event-wise, which was great. Although Friday I was able to attend the Remembrance Day ceremony in Elm Park. It was incredible, really, to look out and see the park full. And I know that, there was ceremonies all over the city and the region and the province, which was phenomenal. But to see each one of those have, people come out and, to see the wreath be laid and to be able to lay one on behalf of the city was really special for me. But actually what made it more special was she was our very first guest 8 years ago. Brenda Daigle was on our show at the time, and she was talking about the Christmas Shoebox campaign because her son was a veteran. He was active military at that time.
Christopher?
Yeah, Chris Henneberry, and he actually was here in Miramichi on Friday, and so as a retired service person, he carried the wreath, and then I laid the wreath on behalf of the city, and then he gave the salute. So it was really, and he had his son with him, Hazen. Yes. So it was really a wonderful moment for me to be able to share that with that family, but leading up to it, Dad and I got to do something pretty amazing. Yeah. So the weekend before, which was the beginning of Veterans Week, and Dad and I were in Ottawa, and I had signed us up to do the Canada's Army Run, which is it was the 15th year that it's been happening, and it brings together about 10,000 runners. Amazing. In Ottawa, downtown Ottawa, and it starts at City Hall and it ended at the War Memorial. And so we had done it virtually the last couple of years because of COVID, of course. And so I signed us up in the spring because, Dad is going to be 77.
But can I just interject for a moment to say that my son Jansen and I were saying, just for a moment, how incredible your father is for his age, how fit, how he has so much vitality. And I can't get over him. He really betrays his age.
I know,
physically.
Absolutely. Yeah, you'd never know he was 77.
No.
Never, for sure. And he was probably, I would say, arguably one of the oldest there. So we did go to Ottawa last weekend, and a series of calamitous events happened. So the Friday night, the fire alarm went off in the middle of the night at the hotel we were at, so we had to evacuate. Thankfully, nothing was wrong. It was a false alarm, but woke us up in the middle of the night. Whatever. Yeah. Saturday morning, I got food poisoning.
I heard, and it was bad.
Yeah, it was probably the sickest I've ever been in my life for a good 48 hours. So that was it was what it was. I was quite sick. We did end up going to the Sens game Saturday night because I had gotten us phenomenal rinkside tickets, and I was not going to pass that up. It was a little rough. I was quite sick still, quite weak, hadn't been able to eat and had been quite sick. Anyway, we managed to sit through a period and a half. literally behind the Sens bench. So they were all sweaty and everything was great.
But still
Loved
exciting.
Loved it. And then I really was not sure I was going to be able to do the run on Sunday morning. I had been training for the last 6 months to be able to do a 10K run. So having said that, we walked the 10K.
Wow, Veronique, you're
We
strong.
walked the 10K, and it was the most amazing experience. Dad had his blue beret on at the time, and so people, as they ran by us, thanked him for his service. And active military who had volunteered along the run came up to ask him where his tours were and to talk to him about his service. So it was really, I cried a whole lot. And then we finished. So I've got a ton of pictures, and it was really a phenomenal experience for me.
Was.
And I got to share that with Dad. And then the next, that afternoon, I finally was able to eat a little bit. So, but actually 48 full hours after I got food poisoning, I was finally able to eat my first meal.
I don't know how you do it.
We came home.
See, you're not like me, because I'm a wimp, and I'd be in bed saying, you guys do whatever you have to do without me, because I feel like crap and I'm not moving. But you did phenomenal
I wanted to die for sure. Yeah.
Ah, very neat. Well, better days ahead for sure.
Yeah, no, it was a great experience, and that was the kickoff to Veterans Week, and
Yes.
then got to have the attend the Remembrance Day ceremony on Friday here in Miramichi. So wonderful, wonderful things. So this morning, though, I looked out the window and was quite unhappy with the first dusting of snow that we got.
Yes, but we are mid-November now.
I know.
And I look at my friend out west who's been she's had her grandchildren out tobogganing and in winter coats, and they've been making like Christmas cookies basically for the last month in anticipation of the holidays. So I'm thinking, the sun's peeking out, and we haven't had a good snowfall, even really anything on the ground yet. So we'll take it, and especially with the hurricane season, tropical seasons are
Absolutely.
You think it's over with this? Is this any more? Are they talking about any more, or what? Like,
I haven't heard
I
any
hope not.
No, I haven't heard any talk of any more hurricanes or post-tropical storms or anything like that hitting us, thankfully, because it's been pretty wicked.
Well, cleanups for people that have cottages and their shorelines.
Yeah.
And my friend spent 3 hours at her cottage, which was just, after Fiona, she spent a long time trying to get the debris up, and the damage was done. And I'm thinking, oh, you poor guy. And then it happened again.
I know.
So she said, I hope this is it, because I'm played out, and our cottage is taking a terrible beating. And she's just one of hundreds.
Absolutely. And I can't even imagine what that's like to see that water coming, right? And just being battered by it.
Battered. It's a good word.
Yeah. So, listen, I complain a lot about snow in the winter, because as I get older, I seem to get crankier about it all. But, we did just get a dusting this morning. It didn't even stay, which was great. But I love the first snowfall. I will say that, like the first actual snowfall where it falls and you look out and it's pretty. And then I would be really happy with snow from like December 20th to January 3rd. Realizing, of course, that there are billion-dollar industries out there that cater to snow and all of that, and I realize we need to have it, and it's a wonderful thing. But that's about when I want to shovel it, and that's it.
Yeah, like my sister and Matt, her husband, are over in Barcelona, and I think one of the main reasons they left Toronto after 9 or 10 years to move there is because of winter.
I don't blame them.
They're not elder people for any,
No.
For heaven's sakes, they're only like 40, but they still said, that we're done with it.
Yeah.
So
I
we
don't
should
blame
go
them.
visit them.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Let's go.
Jennifer, if you're watching this,
We're on our way.
we're on our way.
We're
First
on our
big
way.
snowfall.
I know, yeah. But anyway, I mean,
I-
like I said, I do know it's coming.
But I do want to say, for people that are really thinking, okay, the cold set in, they have arthritis, they're locked up, they're in a bad frame of mind because the days get dark so early. Keep moving, folks. Keep moving. I felt that way this morning. I mean, I'm in my 60s now, and I'm thinking my body's getting, like aches and pains. But I thought, get that warm coat on, get the dog out, and keep those, those limbs moving, because otherwise you're going to feel twice as bad.
Oh, I agree. And you know what? I will say this. So as I've gotten older, I dress much more now for the weather than when I was younger. But I also dress for safety, right? So last year, just before Christmas, I got at County Cobbler here on the square a phenomenal pair of shoes with great grips on the bottom.
Excellent.
And so I walked most of last winter and was really comfortable in that. So I've sacrificed, and actually they still look not bad. I've sacrificed a bit of style for comfort and safety in a lot of cases, because to keep moving.
To keep moving all winter long. Don't stop. You get in the groove, and then you'll get into it and you'll get used to it. But also the safety jackets with the neon. My husband refuses to let me go outside the door now in the winter without them, and I look like a freak. But anyway,
Absolutely.
it's for safety again.
Yes.
And the highways are very, very dark, and people are in dark clothes. I
know.
find they're not thinking the kids are running in front of you,
Yeah.
darting across the street, and God forbid, we don't see them. So myself and for everyone watching, please look after yourself and make your clothing, protect yourself from the cars when you're out walking.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's so much going on right now in Canada and the U.S. with new viruses and illnesses, and especially around children. It's become an issue where we can't get medications for kids now.
No, the Tylenol has basically been off the shelf and unavailable, and we've never seen our hospitals so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And in Quebec and Ontario, this RSV, the virus that's attacking the children, it's very scary when their fevers spike and they don't have that medication to bring it down.
Yeah.
And other aches and pains and symptoms, but now they're going to import it to them.
Right.
But still, like we were saying a little bit earlier offset, we were so what can I say? The numbers of influenza and all the other viruses were down so much during the peak of COVID because of the masking that we were not exposed. And now that we don't have that immune system built up, everyone's catching everything.
Absolutely.
So if you see me out there with a mask, folks, don't laugh, because I'm still wearing mine. And it's not just for COVID, it's for everything.
Yeah, and I mean, we did see those infection rates go down for flu, right?
Oh,
and
totally.
cold as well. And that I totally understand. And when Mom and I go out, we do wear a mask as well in some cases, depending on where we expect to be. But I can see it actually coming back over the winter, and in order to stay as healthy as I can.
Well, my son is a physician, and my husband, as everyone probably knows by now, and they're just saying like they can't believe what the hospitals were like, and the influenza, how much it was down during the last 2 years, and now how it's just surged. They're like, wow, the hospitals are full. And in Quebec and Ontario, those poor little kids, I mean, they're in daycare and they're in school, and so everyone's bringing everything to the families at home, and
of course,
it's pretty gross.
So you know what, Judy, we have an incredible show lined up. We have two wonderful guests, and we're really looking forward to what they're going to be talking about today. So Ryan Summers is going to be joining us as a real estate professional, and Ev Gray is the president of the Miramichi Northman. So much to talk about.
Nice.
So what we want you to do now, because we know it's kind of chilly out there, and we want to get you moving a little bit throughout the day, is we do want you to go grab a snack, because I always fixate on my snacks.
Hot toddy.
And a hot toddy, and come on back right after the break. We'll see you in a couple of minutes. Don't go too far. Hi, and welcome back to Have a Chat. I am your host today, Veronique Arsenault, joined, of course, by my fantastic co-host, Judy Loge, and our first guest of the day. So most of you will know him, absolutely, and I get to work with him every day around that council table, so great friend and colleague. But we are welcoming Ryan Summers to the show, a real estate professional. Welcome,
Thank
Ryan.
you very much.
Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you,
She
Judy.
says really nice things about you, just so you know.
No, I lied.
Excellent.
No, it's always good. So great that you could join us today.
Thank you very much.
Now, of course, we do know you, Ryan, but for those who may not know you out there, tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. Well, I guess much like yourselves, I'm a proud Miramichier, of course. I am a husband to my beautiful wife, Heidi. We've been together for 18 years now, married for 14 of those. We have a very energetic 6-year-old boy at our house named Kenley. And of course, on the work side of things, I guess I'm here today to talk about my career. I've been working with Allied Realty here in Miramichi for the past 5.5 years as a realtor. And then, of course, in my spare time, I try to solve the city's problems with councillors.
Yes, you do.
To the best of my ability, yeah.
You're doing a great job on both.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So buying a house can be very overwhelming. In fact, it's one of the biggest things that we're ever going to do in our lifetime is buy that home, that first home or whatever home. But so why is it so important to have a professional real estate agent help?
Sure. Well, I think it's important to hire a realtor, whether you're on the buying or selling side of things, particularly on the buying side for first-time buyers. It's quite a process that you have to go through. besides the obvious paperwork that comes in as part of the transaction, just walking new clients through the process is part of what I enjoy about doing it the most. Because generally speaking, for first-time buyers, it's an exciting process, but they may not know the ins and outs of what they have to do other than going to view a home and then ultimately deciding they want to make an offer on it.
Right.
Once you get to that point, of course, you still have to see if you're successful with your offer. And then if you are, that's an exciting day when you sign that accepted offer, excuse me.
Very.
But after that, you still need to work your way through your conditions of financing, insurance, those of inspections, these types of things. And I think as a realtor, that's probably a big part of why you want to have somebody that's working in that, as a career on your side, because essentially I can provide, advice on various banks, mortgage brokers, inspectors around our town that may be able to assist you, insurance companies. And I think that's a big part of it because truthfully, in my line of work, familiarity is a really important thing. And so I may be able to guide you to a certain insurance company where you may know somebody that's there, and it'll make the whole process a lot more comfortable for you rather than, just Googling or searching through the phone book and trying to figure it all out yourself. That's kind of where we come into play to try and assist you on that side of the coin.
I would want that.
I know.
I can't even imagine trying to go to all those different avenues on my own or with my partner and trying to figure out now what and what. So you're guiding them along. You have the expertise. And how much time would you and I have to spend if I was looking for my new home, like from say start to finish until perhaps that home that I get to buy it and you get to sell it and say woo? Yeah,
well that can certainly vary.
Yes,
sometimes
it does.
I could get with clients and we could go to 15 homes before we find the right one. Other times, you may. I've personally bought 2 homes in my life, and I've viewed 2 homes in my life. So I'm a rarity in that case.
Yes.
Most people prefer to shop, I guess you would say, and to look around. And it's hard to predict at the beginning, exactly how long that's going to take you to find the right one. Ultimately, I think people. The feel when it's there.
Oh, I know too.
You found the right one.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I always tell my clients, it's not so much about fixating on a price necessarily.
No.
If you feel like you're in the right one, and it's of course in your price range, then that's probably the one, and hopefully end up getting it.
Yeah, no, I guess I just meant the whole process of sitting down advising them on brokers and law and all that. That's a big deal. That's not just like you said, walking into the home and the next home and 14 other homes and saying which one. It's all the others. It's quite an entailed business that you're running. Yeah.
Well, to answer that question, essentially, when you do set up your conditions, we generally try to give 2 to 3 business weeks timeline-wise to get everything done. And then once we get through that, that's when we call it a firm deal.
Okay.
And it's an exciting day for any agent because they get to put a sold sign on whichever house that may be. And exciting for the buyers and sellers as well when you get to that point because you know that you're going to have a good deal at the end of the day.
Win-win.
Yeah. 100%.
Love it.
Yeah, and buying that first home is absolutely overwhelming, and I had no idea when I went to buy my first home about even like having to set conditions or answering to the conditions that the seller may set, So it was a big deal for me, and I remember, I thought, well, as soon as they said yes to my offer, we're sold, off we go.
Sure.
But there's so much that has to happen in between, right?
Yeah.
And until you consider it sold or purchased, but so. Let's say I'm buying my very first home. So what are those tips that I need to know when I start that process?
Yeah, well, I'm often telling new clients about, I refer to the familiarity thing that for one thing, 99.9% of listings are on MLS. So if a new client wants to work with me, I always tell them you don't necessarily have to see my face on the front lawn. So if it's with a different company or with a different agent within Allied Realty, I could still end up being your realtor on the buying side of things if you so wish. Or, on the flip side of that too, if you're very familiar with somebody else from another company and you want to work with them, by all means, you're free to do so. I think that as a starting point is a big thing because you're putting your trust in whoever your agent may be to not only look out for what you're looking for, but then to start taking you to your actual viewings. And then sort of guiding you through the ups and downs when you're buying, especially sort of the things we look for if I'm going to show another agent's listing. certain things like colors and whatnot can be changed, minor
Yes.
items or aesthetic items, I guess I could say. But generally, if I go to a new listing today, I'm looking at big ticket items. So is the roof in good condition? Are
Yes.
the windows?
Yes,
What's the heating system? Things of that nature that could end up being costly if you're not sort of out in front of it.
Windows.
Yeah, yeah. So those are the things we look for on the buying side of things. Because again, you know, inside, you know, a kitchen can be updated, a bathroom can be updated. You know, but generally speaking, you'll hear people talk about the bones of a building or a house, and you know, if they seem strong, that's a big thing, and that's sort of the first things we look for. And don't get me wrong, buyers are very visual, so they want it to look nice, they want it to look pretty, and those things usually by times go hand in hand as well.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about the selling now, the
Sure.
selling end of it.
Yeah.
If I wanted to sell my home today, what would I have to do? What would I best be advised to do to sell my home and get the right price, or a price that I would be happy with?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, you're hoping to get the top dollar. Right?
Yes.
too.
We are, but I mean, like, let's just say, are people, we can start with this question.
Sure.
What is the most prized room in the home? Is it the
Sure.
kitchen? Because I keep hearing that people love, love, love a nice kitchen. So if you
Yeah.
have a gorgeous home and it's all up to date and everything else is tickety-boo, but your kitchen is old and needing all new repairs,
Sure.
a makeover, that could be a deterrent for the buyers. So
It could be. I mean, I'm generally quite cautious on telling people what to do with their money before I try to sell their home, because I don't know for sure if I'm getting that back for you. And to your
Right.
point about like renovating a kitchen,
Yeah.
I wouldn't advise that, because even if you feel like it needs an updating, maybe the way that I want it updated isn't the same as Vera wants to have it updated.
good to know.
So, yeah, no. Ultimately, at the
I'll
end
tell
of the
my
day,
husband.
you're smarter to price accordingly because of those types of things.
Yeah.
All right.
In all honesty, in 5.5 years of doing it, the only things I've ever asked my sellers to do in advance, maybe a roof, maybe windows, particularly roof. I guess
Yeah.
I've really done that a few times, because if you go to show your property and it's a brand new listing and the roof looks like it's ready to fall off,
Yeah.
you're off to a bad start
Bad.
as soon as people get there. So the rest of the home could show very well. But they see that roof and they get concerned, and it may sort of deter them right from the get-go. So I mean, that's in terms of, you know, preparing a home to sell. Those are the really only big things I would focus
Okay.
on. But you know, renovating your bathroom or your kitchen or whatnot, wouldn't go for even something as simple as painting, because again, maybe you think you're updating it the way it should be, but maybe you have a different preference at the end of the day. But
That's good information to know.
Sure.
Did you ever hear of people like that have homes, of course they do, with molding and things like that in the wall? Because, you know, that's very dangerous to
Oh,
start
yes,
with. So
mold,
you
yeah.
might have this lovely home,
Sure.
a beautiful home that you say, oh, the buyer would just love to have it.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's all of that. So that's construction that needs to come in then and
Sure.
take out those walls, and then there's
Yeah.
more money. So what do you do with homes that have mold? And
Yeah, well, I mean, truthfully, that's where I rely on my inspectors that I'm recommending to my buyers. I poke fun at myself all the time that I'm not necessarily a handyman. I'll tell people that I know how to talk about selling you a home
Yes.
or selling your home. Fixing them or becoming a contractor is not exactly my forte, I
you
guess
have
I
to
will
point
say.
it out, though.
Yeah, no, understandable.
Right.
But I guess what I'm saying is, as realtors, we are always recommending that
Yeah.
if you're going to buy a home, no matter what price range,
Yes.
that you should have it inspected.
Yeah.
And that's where I rely on the expertise
Right
of those
on.
folks to look for these flags, I guess is what you're
Okay.
hinting at,
Yeah,
Judy.
yeah,
It's
that's
important,
the answer.
for sure.
Yeah, and for me, I was really lucky, right? So when I was selling my house, and then when I bought the new house a couple of years ago, I have a dad who is very handy, right? So for me, a lot of things that would have been overwhelming when I bought my first house didn't seem so much so when I was looking for my
Yeah.
next house, right? Because I knew that I had some help there. So I can understand, though, wanting to move into those ready houses or, you know, getting a fixer-upper.
Yeah.
But
Right.
let's slide off topic for a second, just because I always like to talk about the community aspect, and,
Sure.
and especially with people who are very involved in the community. So, and I know you are, Ryan, and you always have been. So why has it been so important for you to be, you know, one, community-minded, but community involved?
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, this career that I began 5.5 years ago is kind of the perfect fit for me. I've been on council essentially as long as I've been in the real estate world, and I talk to clients about this stuff every day. Like I'm obviously trying to sell you a home, which is my number one job, source of income. But oftentimes I'm sort of in a dual role. I'm trying to sell them on the city as well, and I could be out with them for over an hour viewing homes, and then I might drop in. By the way, I'm also a member of City Council. That can go one or two ways.
Yes,
I
sure,
don't know how that's going to go.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, but it's neat to be able to sort of wear both hats while I'm doing what I do for a living, because it's obviously important. Sure, they got to like the house we're viewing, but maybe they need to know about the area. And of course, we're a large, geographic area here, but so sometimes I get clients that want to know about the various communities, the Logievilles, the Douglas-towns, Chathams, Newcastle, Nelson. Didn't forget anybody, Chatham Head.
Don't dare
not
leave
forget Chatham
anybody
Head.
out,
Yeah, exactly. But they may be not only looking to come to Miramichi, but
Yeah.
maybe they want to be in a certain area. And I really, I have a strong knowledge of our city,
do.
and I may know certain,
Yeah.
neighborhoods that'll be a perfect fit for a family, or, could be retirees, could be younger folks coming to our city, you never know. So
I just want to highlight, actually, before we move on to the next question. So
Sure.
it is your anniversary, the
Yeah.
anniversary of the time that you were first elected in a
Yeah,
by-election
yeah.
in 2016.
Today
yeah,
it is.
yeah, it is.
Well,
yeah.
congratulations.
That was certainly an exciting night.
Yeah.
And, I'll never forget it. We were old school, and we were listening to the radio, and
Yeah.
my friend John O'Shea informed me that I was
You were
diving into the political world all of a sudden. Yeah, but it was a proud moment for us, for
Yeah.
sure.
Very, very proud
Yeah,
moment.
that came about, of course, because we lost our mayor at the time,
Yes.
Mayor
right.
Jerry Cormier, and Adam was running
Yeah.
to fill that seat, which he did, and continues to do so to this day. So
He does.
it's hard to believe it was all those years ago.
Yeah,
You're
I
still a
recall.
young pup.
I recall at Meet the Candidates night that you two girls were doing the questions that
We
evening
were.
as well.
That is right, at
Yeah.
the Kids Center.
Yeah, the Kin Center.
That
Yeah.
seems like dinosaur years ago.
I know.
It
Can you
does.
imagine? Yeah.
But no, and going back to that, you did a wonderful job. So
And continue to.
yeah, you're
Thank you,
passionate
girls.
about it. So getting back to buying and selling homes,
Sure.
why is it so important to set the right price?
Yeah, I mean, that's been challenging, I'll be honest, during the last couple of years, because of course everyone in our city is aware of the pandemic or the boom in real estate that we've had, not only here in Miramichi, but all across the country, I guess you could
Yes.
say. And as I told you before, we were live on the air here for a while there. Seemingly there was hardly any rules with establishing your price. I would see whether it was my own listing or another agent come in with a listing with a price tag on it and sort of raise my eyebrows a bit. And then you would find out the next day that it sold for that. So we've definitely been blessed the last couple of years. I hate to say that
No.
during a pandemic, but it really has been a boom to our industry. And outside of what I do for a living, it's been great for our area in general. I mean, I've told people it feels like it put Miramichi kind of on the map.
Yes,
in
I
a
agree.
lot of ways. There's people that call my phone from all over the country that may not have heard of Miramichi before,
know.
but suddenly they're looking to come this way. But
Yeah.
I guess to circle back to your question, I mean, the setting the price for your home's definitely important. Most people I've worked with, of course, naturally you want to get
What you want.
the top dollar
Yeah,
that we talked
exactly
about
what you think
earlier.
it's worth.
Yeah, and again, quite often during the last few years, we've managed to do that. I think the real estate world isn't dying off in Miramichi by no means, but there now it's shifting. We talk about it at work, back to a little bit more of a normal, which I think is not a bad thing. Just gives your buyers a chance to breathe for one thing.
That's right.
I don't get to rush to the house within the first hour and try to sell it to them. The original starting price is important because, quite frankly, if you push too far, your listing may sit. And when it does, I mean, that's when I went through it this summer selling my own home.
Oh,
When your house sits for a week, 2 weeks, it gets more challenging with the more that time goes on. I still think with our market today, if you do price it right, as we like to say, chances are it will go quick. And hopefully for both you, buyer and seller, it'll be a smooth process. But I've seen a little bit of both most recently. Like there's times where it's still happening quickly. Other times it's taking 2 to 3 months like it used to,
Yeah.
right? So,
Can I just ask you, Ryan, we
Sure.
have an in-ground pool. It came with the home that we bought years
Yeah.
ago. Is that a liability or is it more of an asset to have an in-ground pool these days?
Sure.
It's a sizable, good-sized pool
Yeah.
and a fence all around it, and we've enjoyed it for many, many years, but our people kind of want, it's an upkeep as well. It's an expense also.
It is, yeah.
So what would you say to the pool thing, just as a side question?
Well, I can tell you firsthand because the house I bought had an in-ground pool.
Okay.
For someone like myself with a 6-year-old, it was
Yes.
definitely a highlighter and attraction to having interest in that home. But I also had other agents show the property And perhaps you'll hear people say they don't see the value in it. So it's truthfully, I know that's a bit of a vague response.
Not
but
really, because the age group would have to factor in there, right?
It depends on your buyer.
70-year-old couple or something,
That's
they
right.
said, well, we can't keep up the pool and the chemicals and the expense
That's
of
right.
it and maintain it. But like you said, if it's a family that are going to bring
That's right.
kids there and have entertainment all summer,
Yeah.
it kind of pays for itself, basically.
I can tell you for myself, it was the best thing that happened to us in a long
we've
time.
enjoyed
'cause,
ours for many, many years, and you've been in it many times.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I'd love to put a pool in my backyard.
You would.
I would,
You
yeah.
would.
I have a phenomenal backyard. It's huge, and the dogs get to run around, and it's wonderful. It's fenced.
Okay.
But I would love a pool myself. I don't know that I will do it, but I would love to have
Well, that
one.
was my burning question about a pool.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
and like I said, we've been blessed with great weather here in
Yeah.
Miramichi
Oh,
the
my
last number of
heavens.
years too. So
Really
the pool definitely
fortunate.
held
All
value
right,
for us.
so that went by so quick, and we're all done with Ryan.
Are
But
we?
thank you to Ryan for coming and spending some time
Thank
with
you.
us and sharing his insights. And don't go too far. Of course, we have one more break and another guest, so we'll be right back after a couple minutes.
Good job.
Hi, and welcome back to Have a Chat. I am your host today, Veronique Arsenault, with, of course, my fantastic co-host, Judy Loge.
Love being with you, Veronique.
I know, we're so lucky we get to do this every week together.
Yeah.
And we just had a great segment with so much information from Ryan Summers, the real estate professional, and of course my colleague on City Council. Yeah. But we are joined by another fantastic guest,
Yes.
and a first, I think, on our show. I think this is the first time.
It is.
Fantastic.
Okay.
We are glad to have you. So we are joined by Ev Gray, who is the president of the newly renewed Miramichi Northmen.
Thank you very
so
much,
welcome.
ladies. Thank you.
We're going to have all those, women, but mostly men tuned in today saying, yeah, let's give this conversation a real go.
I know, yeah, it's true. We're very lucky. We have wonderful fans at home.
We sure do.
But Judy and I both know you, but for those who don't out there, please tell us a little bit about you.
Well, my name's Ev Gray, and as you mentioned, I took on the role as president of the Miramichi Mike's Bar and Grill Northman, and started in, I think, May, getting everything rolling and started, and it's been very busy. And when I'm not doing that, I'm a teacher assistant in Natawaganig School in Neilground. Been there for 16, 17 years.
Oh, wow.
So it's been a long time, and have a daughter who's graduating this year.
Nice.
So yes, getting quite excited over that.
I did
So
not know
it's,
that.
yeah, my daughter Marley, she's
MV?
in
Is
grade
she,
12.
or-
I had to take her to the right side.
Oh, now, okay. Maybe we're okay. It's been a lovely show.
Yes,
folks.
it has been,
Tune in next week.
That segment's over, sorry.
Yeah, but,
We love MV. I mean, we are Tommies,
yeah,
but we love
I kind
MV.
of figured that. I thought I was outnumbered, but
I remember so well meeting Ev. This was so funny.
Oh.
A few years back, and I said, I just have to ask you, does Ev stand for anything in particular? I was thinking Everett or Everin, and you said it stands for everything and everybody.
remember that,
I remember that.
I love it.
I thought that was so cute. You're quick,
yeah, I try to be.
and you're an amazing radio voice.
Oh, thank you very much.
For how many years did you do that?
I was there for 14 years.
Really?
14, and that was the voice that we heard for 14 years,
Long
like
time.
loud, clear, and you covered so much over that time span.
There's a lot of stories from those days.
So
for
the
sure.
Miramichi Northman senior hockey team has just come to life again. It's just
Yeah.
been formed. So give us a bit of history about,
Sure.
the whole thing.
Yeah, well, we started in May, and we wanted to have a name that was traditional to the Miramichi. So we ended up doing a little contest on Facebook, and we brought up like Northmen, Beavers, Rivermen,
yeah.
that sort of thing. And we were kind of had our fingers crossed it would be Northmen. That was because that's something that we were
nice.
playing around with quite a bit. Of course, they've been a traditional senior team back in the late 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Yes.
And so it was overwhelming. Like it was like, I think 85% was for the
wow.
Northmen. So we were quite excited.
I'm happy with it.
And you guys were commenting on the jersey. This
Love
is the
it.
same jersey that they wore. We changed the logo just a little bit, but
Yeah.
we really wanted to keep that tradition going. And of course, we changed the name from Newcastle to Miramichi because we wanted to be a Miramichi
Yes.
team. And the executive and I, luckily we had Bev Bond with us.
Great guy.
And of course, Bev played for them, coached, he did everything with them, right? So he was giving us lots of advice. I know myself, I've never had a role like this ever. I've helped out on a couple executives, but never a big role or anything like this. And so it's been, learn as I go sort of thing. But luckily, I have a lot of experience on our executive. And so we entered the Beausejour Senior Hockey League. It's been around for a few years now. They only had 3 teams, and then they were looking to add some. And Alan Menzies, who is our coach, he is the one who really got the ball rolling on this. He got everything, recruited all of us, and so anyways, we went there and we were accepted along with Doketown and Spring Hill, Nova Scotia.
Oh, wow.
So now league doubled in 6. But then one of their teams, the original 6, folded.
Oh.
But then luckily we had it's lucky for us, but the Northern League, Senior League folded just recently. So we added 3 teams. So now we're 8.
Oh, wow.
So it's been kind of a, rough ride going with scheduling, but luckily now everything's ready to go and we're all set. So.
Why was it so important to bring a senior men's team back? Like, why, and I know that you're not in this on your own. So,
No.
you're surrounded by a wonderful team of executives as well.
Yep.
So, why was it so important for all of you to bring that back to the league?
Well, luckily for me, I grew up here in the Miramichi, and most of my memories are coming from the 80s and 90s. So you're dealing with the Packers, you're dealing with the Tim Horton Leafs, and we all remember the rinks being packed. Hoppy Done on the radio. There's a lot of fond memories from those days.
I miss Hoppy.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh
We
yeah.
all
He was
do.
a character.
Yeah.
And so we just thought, Miramichi's always been known as a senior hockey team, hockey town.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to try to see what happens. We didn't have huge expectations. Matter of fact, when I was doing up our budget, I was budgeting 600 fans.
Right.
Well, we gone way above that.
Yeah.
We've only played 2 home games, but you were there for the first one for our
I got
opening
to drop my
ceremonies.
first puck.
That's
Yeah.
right,
Well, I got
Marty.
to stand there as the
Yeah.
man dropped the
That's
puck, but
right.
that's the closest I'll ever be to the
Yeah.
ice for hockey.
Yeah, and we thank you for coming in. And that was a crazy night. We had, I think, close to 1,600
Yeah.
fans there.
Yeah.
And
Exciting.
everybody was exciting, and I didn't think we were going to top that.
Yeah.
And then we just had a game Friday night, Remembrance Day. We had the veterans
Yeah.
come drop the puck, and we debuted our red uniforms on that day.
Very nice.
It worked out well, but we had over 2,000 fans. Our 50-50 was $3,600,
Oh my,
which was
that's
insane.
nice. Beautiful.
Well, just to give you context, Moncton Wildcats played Sunday at the Coliseum. Their 50-50 was $3,000.
Well, so there we go.
You
I
know,
know.
it was
We're
just
right up
insane.
there.
Yeah. Of course, we had Nick Petrie selling tickets,
Ah,
and
he's
there's
a good
nobody
guy.
better.
We've got some great
Yeah,
people
he's
here in the
amazing.
Miramichi. Yes,
And we
he
had
is.
Elsa Booktook, which is fastly becoming our biggest rivalry. They're undefeated, unfortunately, still, but
Okay.
Yeah.
we lost in a shootout. So I mean, it was
No,
an exciting
really?
game.
Exciting, yep.
And and so far, the reaction we're getting is pretty much all positive. The fans seem to be loving it. We're going to be starting to sell season or advance tickets now. So actually tonight, Monday, we're selling advance tickets at the rink at 6:30 for our Friday game against Dalhousie. So
Miramichi Civic Center.
yeah. So it's going to be another exciting time.
Wild
yeah.
night.
And-
So, okay,
go ahead.
keep on going.
Well, I was just going to say, and it's all guys from the Miramichi. Some may live just outside the area, but they've all played either minor hockey in Miramichi, or they played for the Timberwolves, or so it's pretty exciting to see the local guys getting all this recognition, and just my own personal opinion, just a super group of guys. There's no egos. They all get along,
Good.
so it really makes our job's a lot easier.
Real good guys.
Yeah,
You want
yeah.
that. You don't want
No,
cocky and
they're
arrogant and
unreal.
showboats. You
Yeah.
want the real
No,
deal.
yeah.
So the launch of the season has been a very huge success from a fan's perspective.
Yeah.
Regarding volunteers and actually putting the game together and the
Yeah.
night together.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
Yeah, that's actually gone really well. We were lucky where Alan also coaches the baseball team in Newcastle.
He's good.
So he managed to get a lot of volunteers from his organization to come help us. Plus we have this lady, Sophie Savoie, who's from down the Bay, and she's our game coordinator, and she's phenomenal.
Well,
Like
that
the way
means
she
a
can organize everything. Like
Gee.
I'm glad I'm not doing it
Yes,
because it
yeah.
would not be like that.
Yeah.
And so we've been getting lots of volunteers. Actually, it was funny because the night you were there, we had the old Northmen. From the 70s
Yeah.
and 80s. So, well, the last championship team, we had some members come to drop the
nice.
puck. But one of them, Alan Gillis, he asked if he could volunteer to help us.
Oh,
So
great.
he's collecting this, watching one of the season tickets and advance tickets. He gets them, and he said he had just a blast doing it.
Wouldn't
so,
he though? Having been
yeah.
on the
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
played so many
exactly,
years
right?
ago and still a very
Yeah,
vibrant
so-
member of our community.
Yep. So he's been hired for the rest of the year, and no, we have lots of people volunteering, doing like the smallest of jobs or the biggest jobs.
Yeah.
It's been fantastic, and
So you're the president, and
Yeah.
Alan is the coach, and then who's the manager?
okay, the manager's Ronnie Bro.
I don't know.
Another,
Ronnie
yeah, Ronnie's from Newcastle,
Brown. Okay.
and he actually graduated with me. It was
Yeah.
funny, but and he's been around hockey rinks and softball fields all his life, so
Good. And
he fit in really good.
assistant coach. Yeah.
We have a couple there. Also, we have Liggery Turbides, the vice president, Troy McDonnell, who I think you
Oh,
probably
yes,
know.
I
Troy's,
do, yes.
Troy's our second vice president.
Good.
And no, it's been, and Jocelyn Bro is our treasurer and secretary.
Wow.
But it's all a group effort. Like
Yes.
almost every decision we make as a group. We all have titles, but we all work together. So it's
what you
been
want.
working great. Yeah, it's been really going well.
Collaboration.
So, yeah.
So, so the first season we're in the midst of the first season,
Yep.
and I love the first game, and it's funny, it's such a different atmosphere, I guess, than
Yeah.
I've been to Timberwolves
Yep.
games, of course, and to the little
Yep.
guys that play, but I think obviously the city was really looking for that senior,
Yeah.
men's kind of atmosphere and everything, and I got to sit behind Alan Gillis and all of them as we watched the game the rest of the night, but what does the rest of the season look like for all of you and that organizational piece, but really even getting the fans out? What do you want them to take away from this at the end of the year?
Well, first of all, I want them to enjoy the experience, right? Like we're really hoping to make things as fan-friendly as possible. We have the 50-50. We have a fan of the game where if you buy a program, you have a chance to win a 15-inch pizza from Newcastle Pizza Delight.
Great.
We have now Salty DNA has,
Oh, yes.
they come out with their truck and they're shooting T-shirts up into the crowd. And if you know Corey,
I do.
you don't know what's going to happen.
That's
So
right.
yeah.
there's that. And then we're going to be introducing shortly a shootout as well, second period intermission, where you put a board on the net and
Oh, yes.
fans stand center
Yes.
and try
Like
and get
that.
in
I
the middle.
love
We
that.
haven't done that in a long time.
It's fun.
And again, that harkens back. We're trying to do the traditional things,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. And no, we just want the fans to have fun, cheer everybody on, be respectful though, and make it as fan friendly as possible for everybody. I know with senior hockey, the bar might be a little more fuller than most places, but we hope they remember, there's still families there
Yeah.
and whatnot. So and I got to thank too our sponsors. We've had a lot of people come on board, and especially after first game, I think people saw what we were doing, and it's been very, very busy adding more and more people to it, and it's great.
I have to tell you this. So the Northmen had invited City Council to come and attend the first game, right? And Mayor Lorden was going to drop the puck, and Deputy Mayor was on the mic as he is on a good
Yeah.
Friday night or Saturday night. And so I arrived, and I thought, I'll just zip in and whatever. So I arrived, could not find parking,
Oh no.
No.
and the lineup was around the building.
Yeah.
When
It was
I got into
insane.
the lineup, it was around the building.
Yeah, it
Like,
was insane.
I was parked on the Tim Hortons side. I found parking there. I don't know how that happened, but I found parking not at Tim Hortons, on the rink side.
Yes.
But the lineup was right
Yeah.
to where I was, and I was like, oh, it was such a shock. But you know what? It was so great because everybody in line was talking about how they were looking forward to the night. There was families that were lined up. There were, friends, and it was date night for
Yeah.
some people. And I was like, this is really stinking cool.
Yeah.
Because
It's wonderful.
it just felt
Yeah.
fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
A renewal.
Yeah, like in the summer we started a Facebook page, and we really wanted to try to connect tour fans and build it up. So I know we were plugging everything. We were like, if Timberwolves made a move, we made sure we mentioned it.
Yeah.
If the ball team wins a game, we mentioned it. If the
Yeah.
Ironmen were playing, we mentioned it. We really wanted to be part of the community, so we went in the Canada Day Parade.
Yes,
We put a float in that.
Doing
You know,
lots.
we really wanted to connect, and we're still doing that. Like, and our Facebook page now, we're almost to 2,000 people. Like, it's crazy.
Growing and growing.
Oh yeah, like the last 3 weeks, it's been like we were already at 1,000 before the season started. Now we got 800 more, just 900 more, just
Yeah.
like that. So,
Yeah.
and you know, we're trying to be as much part of the. It's tough with our players because they all work, they
Of
all have
course.
families.
Yeah.
So as far as sending this person to a school or something, it's hard to do. But
Yeah.
we're trying to find other ways to connect with the family. Remembrance Day, all our players wore poppies on their helmets.
Yeah.
We made a donation to the Legion as well.
Beautiful.
Invited the guys to come, and it was funny because, you know how you stood in as the players went by to go out
Yes,
on the
yeah.
ice. Well, they were fist bumping all
Aw,
the players,
nice.
and
Yeah.
they were so excited about it, and
Yeah.
it was really cool. And I think next week we're honoring the Cardinal baseball team that won the provincial championship. So
Fantastic.
they'll be coming out, and I think the Miramichi Valley baseball team will be up next. And
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
and we're just trying to, you know, get involved in the community and trying to hit
promote
every
one
side of the
another,
river.
promote other
Because our
sports.
players are from all over, right?
Yes.
It's not just Miramichi. We got Rogersville, we got
Yeah.
Blackville, we got, you know,
Yeah.
the Bay.
Other
Yeah.
communities.
And it's funny because when we were talking at the beginning, we said it would be nice to have players from all
Yeah.
over, but you want to still take the best players.
Yes.
And so that's what we've been trying to, it's just worked out really well.
Do you have to travel a lot?
There's a bit of a trial. It's a 22 game schedule, so we have
Okay.
11 road trips. The longest one's Spring Hill. We haven't
Yes.
done that yet.
No.
But luckily, we're working with the Sunny Corner Thunder, who will let us use their bus as long
Nice.
as they're not busy. So
Gonna
that
ask you
works out
that.
really good. They're our affiliate, so when we do short of a player, we can call up a couple of players from them, and we've done that already, and
Amazing.
they fit right in. And so by us running their bus, we're helping their program too, so it works out
Right.
really well. And we wanted the team to travel together because that's how you mold together too, right?
11
So-
road trips
Yeah.
altogether.
So
Yeah.
in our last 30 seconds before
Yeah.
we're done, when's the next home game?
Next home game's this Friday night. We're
Okay.
playing Dalhousie. I can't tell you too much about them because we've never played them yet.
Yeah.
Right?
I do know they were in the league final last year in their league,
Ooh.
but
Oh.
so it should be interesting for sure. I think I'm not sure if there's any familiar names on their team.
Okay.
Probably the diehard seniors would probably know some of them, but
Yeah.
yeah, it should be fun. We're selling advance tickets, as I said, and we still have season passes available too, which are not only good for home games during the regular season, but they also get you in all the playoff
Oh,
games
great.
Nice.
at home.
Okay.
So it's a nice little bonus for
Good
them.
for you.
Yeah.
Great job, Ed.
Yep, thank you
I
very
know,
much.
and you know what? Hockey is alive and well here. I've been, you know, the Timberwolves has done incredibly
Yep.
well as well in getting involved, and we
Mhm.
thank you so much for
I
what you're
love
doing.
Thank you for the invitation.
So we're gonna, our show's all done. It was such a wonderful full show today, but
Yeah.
we want to wish you a great week and head out Friday night to the game if you can make it. And you know what? Have a great day and a great week, everybody. Talk to you soon.